Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Living Today. It is Friday Night Highlights. I am your host, the CEO and founder of Irons Group LLC, and this is where we inspire and empower female school leaders to find themselves authentically, leverage their strengths, develop their purpose through perseverance, passion, and teamwork. And yes, I am so excited to be here again with you guys. Sorry, wasn't here last week because you know what? It was Easter. And I hope everyone had a great Easter weekend with their families and friends. And so we're here this week to highlight one of my favorite people. But I know I say that every week. You guys are probably going to say that every week, Sharice. I know I do because I love these men and women that I get the honor of highlighting every week. And this week we're highlighting Mac Jane Kraton. Hey, Mac Jane, how do you say your last name?
Okay, my middle name. I was like, I don't know if I want all of that in there. So it's Mona Chimso.
See, Muna Chimso. So
All
Mac
right.
Jane Muna Chimso Kraton. This is my Nigerian sister, y'all. If you don't have a Nigerian sister, listen, get one. I'm just saying, I feel so loved that I have a Nigerian sister. I love it. So tonight we get to highlight Mac Jane, and she is the founder and executive director of Dream Mentorship. And as you can see, it's Mac Jane believes that your dreams are valid. So we're going to talk to Mac Jane tonight. And let me just give you a little bit about her. As I mentioned before, she was born and raised in Nigeria. She is and was a student at Troy University. She's published 2 fiction novels. I learned that when I read her bio. I didn't even realize that, but we'll talk about that more. She co-authored 1 academic textbook chapter and co-authored a journal article. So she's an author, everyone. Hello. She's won multiple awards, outstanding Troy alumna, WBENC and Cummings Grant awardee, Black Girl Rock Award nominee for Auburn University in Alabama in 2018, Most Outstanding Woman for Troy University, the Pi Sigma Alpha Honor Society. She is currently in the Doctor of Philosophy program, Public Administration and Public Policy at Auburn University. So at some point, hopefully this year, she will, well, most likely next year, right? You'll have your PhD.
Most likely.
I'll be saying Dr. Kraton. Hello. We'll all be saying that. I'm so excited for her. And then she's also earned a Master of Science in International Relations from Troy University, a Bachelor of Arts in History and International Studies from Imo State University in Nigeria. I just mentioned that she's the founder and executive director for Dream Mentorship. She volunteers with Backpack International, that's run by one of our very dear friends, Oslin Rodriguez. And she volunteers at Campus Kitchen, which is run by Auburn University. She is an amazing person, and we're going to get to know more about her. So thank you, Mac Jane, and welcome to the Living Today show. We're so excited to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Sharice. I'm excited to be here. It's such an honor that you would, consider me to spotlight. I am really, really thankful for that.
Well, let me just say this. I'm very honored to have you here. And the reason for this show, I like to tell everyone every single week when I do this that it's not me highlighting you. It's really God choosing the people to be here on this show, because that's where I got this from. This is where the idea to highlight people came from. The servant leader highlights that I do every week was given to me by my father up above. Kind of told me, hey, highlight people. So every person that sits in this seat is because God has chosen them to sit here. These are the people that are out there doing amazing work in the community, adding value. So that's why you're sitting here this week. So I thank you for saying that to me, but I love to always give credit where credit is due, and it's to our Almighty God, right? So thank
you. I'm with you. So.
Yes, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about you and how you were before, prior to COVID. I like to ask people how you were leading, how were you showing up in your home life, your career life, and beyond prior to COVID. What was life like for you before we were in this lockdown?
Oh, sure. That's a great question. I don't think anyone has ever asked me that. So before COVID, it's, it feels like I wouldn't say life as usual. Anyone who knows me know I'm always bubbling with activities and things that I'm doing. So of course, being a mom, being a wife, being a PhD student, going to class, and working for Auburn University as well as a graduate assistant. So those were like regular things I've done, as well as being involved in the church. Some of you probably, or some people know I sing, so I've always been in the band, wherever it was that we served at the church that we're at the time. I was obviously on the band helping. Um, and then wherever is needed, whether it was volunteer work at school or anything in the community with the moms groups, anywhere that I needed, I was needed. I'm just like, sure, sign me up. I've always had that attitude. So I think like every other year before COVID, it was just life as usual, busy trying to do what you can do, both personally and spiritually, and to help people in the community as well. So I wouldn't say anything per se stood out that is was out of the norm.
Yeah, so you were living life the way you
Right.
live it in your world, volunteering, doing the things that you would do in your world. So talk to me a little bit about some of your wins and your learns since COVID. So last year, 2020, wins and learns. What were some of those for you?
Yeah, actually, I loved 2020. I had a lot of
Wait a
wins.
minute.
I know. I
I
should
know.
say that out
Everyone, yeah, go ahead. Tell them.
I shouldn't say that out loud, saying that it was a year of pandemic or roller coaster and a lot of losses for people. But actually, it propelled me into this new life that I'm in now. And I'll share with you all quickly what I mean by that. For instance, one of my big wins is Dream Mentorship, which is the organization that I'm sure Cherise is going to talk about, was actually launched in 2020 in the pandemic. So I had just returned from Ghana, and while I was going on that trip, I knew something was going to be different. I really felt God telling me this is not the trip as usual. I went to that trip every year. We go with the university and we help communities in Africa, in Ghana specifically, that every year. And going last year was different. I knew it because I kept praying. It was this praying season for me. I stayed in the word more than usual. And even when I was in the field, I saw myself praying over the people that came to these health clinics. And when we got, of course, that was with the whole pandemic, the scare and everything. With the countries got shut down. We came back to the U.S. And I really, really felt it in my heart. God saying was so clear to me, Mac Jane, launch Dream Mentorship as a nonprofit. And I'm like, okay, this is not a great time to do that. Everyone is locked down. Everyone is at home. And it just happened quickly. Even when I applied to the Lee County, there were so many people wanting to help me. I remember going to the office at the Lee County office to submit one of the papers, and I called the office because I had filled out the wrong one. And the lady called me and said, "Hey, I will wait on you. I know it's lockdown, but if you can come over to the office right now, I'll help you straighten out and send out the papers that you need to send out." I was like, okay, I'm on my way. Like, like that showed me that God really was in this. And within a month, I'm not kidding, we got back in March. In April, Dream Mentorship was launched. So this week, actually, we're celebrating our very first year as a nonprofit. This is our first anniversary, so that is a huge win for me.
So this week you're celebrating your anniversary,
Right.
girl. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's a
Thank you.
huge win. Wow. 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 So you launched Dream Mentorship during the pandemic, basically.
Right.
Did you have any okay, what are some of the things that you learned last year? So between when you're during the launching or
Okay.
just in general? Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's a lot of lessons that I believe everyone learned. Personally, for me, spiritually, I learned that church or God is not a building. It's not like I didn't know that already. Of course, we knew that God is not in the building, but it made me come back to that one-on-one relationship with God. I found myself in this place of like seeking the presence of God. I had a lot of tests as well regarding with school and some personal trials that I had that, happened with me last year. That made me come to a place of like, you know what, I have to know God for myself. Like it felt like I had this trial, this test that was between I and God. It wasn't about going to a church building. It wasn't about looking for a pastor or somebody to lay hands on me or pray with me. Yeah. I had to like know God for myself. I had to. So that was one big lesson. And it was just such a beautiful thing to come out on the other side, like a triumph and be like, oh gosh, God never loses a battle. So that was very assuring. That was a big lesson for me, that even going into this year that I have that faith. And I would say with Dream Mentorship as a business owner, it's different. It's different when you're doing stuff, volunteering or helping other people. But when you are the boss, the decisions you have to make, we hired interns, I have to do accounting for the very first time. I have to figure out I have to figure out a lot of paperwork. It was a lot of paperwork. And I was like, okay, this is how being an administrator. And then you also have to show up. You have to show up in other places. Yeah. And so it was interesting. And one other lesson we learned is, taking to our advantage the digital life. We had people that turned like never before with our organization, people logging in from Kenya, from Nigeria, from United Kingdom, from Canada. We've never had that before. And to see that happen, it's like, come on now, you cannot sleep on your gifts, or if I can say that, you can. So taking advantage of the digital world, of everything with Zoom, with Zoom Live, like taking advantage of that and running with it, like not slowing down. So there were a lot of lessons, but I think those are the ones that come to mind.
Wow. So spiritually getting into God's presence and recognizing that you really don't need to be in the church to do that. And also learning the joys, the ups and the downs of being an entrepreneur, a business owner, and all of those things. Yeah, there's the fun side, and then there's the business side. There's always all of that, and still showing up, like you said, is always that's always a big deal. Doing all the stuff behind the scenes, and then also being able to show up and do what you need to do. So let's talk a little bit about just focusing on, Dream Mentorship, and getting into talking about the organization itself. So the organization, I know on your website, it talks about your dream is valid. Okay. So you said you were in Ghana, you came home, and God was like, okay, start Dream Mentorship. Now I know you've been doing these workshops prior to that,
right,
with young people. So just tell us a little bit about why this path? Why did you decide that you want to pursue helping young people with their dreams?
Okay, so dream, obviously you can all see there, I'm a big believer in dreams. And as a young lady coming from Nigeria, I didn't have I'm thankful for my parents. Let me premise that it wasn't like I was born in a poor home and we didn't have anything. And we're not exactly rich. We didn't grow up rich, but my parents make sure that we had whatever it was that they could provide for us. But at the same time, even having that, I still didn't have a lot of access to some things. I know when I wrote my first book, I was a freshman in college. And of course, when I published that book, I made a lot of mistakes because I didn't have the proper guidance. I didn't have, I just had a big dream. I just knew I wanted to be an author. And my mom was like, sure, I'll give you some money. Let's publish it. So it was something like that. And moving here in the US, I've also had several opportunities that I knew that it was just this. I had this big dream of things I wanted to accomplish, but sometimes it's like I'm stuck on how. Who do I talk to? How do I get this thing out? And as I grew older or got more involved in life, I realized so many other young women within that age range, 18 to 34, and having the same questions. Who are they? What do I want to do with my life? Do I buy a house? Do I not buy a house? Do I marry? Do I not marry? Do I move? Do I not move? Do I like that guy? Do I not like? It's a lot of questions that go on. And I said, you know what? I want to help. So that was really how Dream Mentorship started. It wasn't called Dream Mentorship, obviously, at the time. It was just a bunch of us young ladies meeting up at our clubhouse, talking about our dreams, our fears, the things we wanted to do, but we just didn't have the resources. How do we encourage each other? How do we support each other? So I did that for a year until my daughter was born. And then I stopped. Then God told me to pick it back up again. And I posted an ad on Facebook like, hey, I'm doing this in the summer. If you're interested, apply for it. So I did it for a couple of summers, just the workshop for 6 weeks and training people on, finding your identity, discovering who you are as a woman, going for your dreams. How do you set specific SMART goals to reach your dreams? And also encouraging them, which is the big thing. If you see my dream is valid, a lot of times there's that, well, I can dream, but it's never going to happen. Or my dream is too big, or my dream is ridiculous, or my dream is crazy. So I came up with this thing that, hey, there's no ridiculous, stupid, crazy dream. Every single dream is absolutely valid. There's a reason why God put that dream in your heart. If God put it there, it's valid. So you have to take action. So that's where my dream is valid came from, and just kind of encouraging everybody to know that their dream is absolutely valid. And yeah, fast forward, I never thought about starting a nonprofit, especially because I'm in school for it. So I've always said, no, nonprofit is not for me. I want to consult for other nonprofits,
I want to own my own nonprofit.
No, I don't want to run it. It's a lot of work. No, I'm not doing that. But like they say, sometimes you think something and God is like, I already have a plan for you. And here we are in the midst of a pandemic. God is like, go do this. And it was just so clear. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And now we are running a nonprofit. And I can tell you for a fact that I can see the change, like how God has transitioned this just because I obeyed, from where we were, $0 struggling, trying to, help people with nothing, and to see that how God is bringing people and resources to help much more people, which is the goal. It wasn't just about me, that we are able to reach more people than a handful of people that I know in my personal life. So I am thankful that I said yes.
That's fantastic. I'm thankful that you said yes too, because as I was looking, you have served since 2020 204 women from Canada, Kenya, Nigeria, the UK, and also here in the United States. And 100% of the young ladies between I think you had on the website 17 to 35 are all saying that this has been necessary. So how do you help these young ladies that come into the program? Like, how does that work?
Okay, excellent question. So we're currently now, we're 234. We need to update that. We have 234 women that we've helped, and we are able to keep tag based on our programs. We have people register for it. So we do surveys as well to make sure that we are catering to the right age range and we are answering the questions that they need. We always ask for feedback, how we're doing. So that's how we're able to get some of the responses of what you see there. In terms of our programming, we have what we call the Dream Nights, which is once a month. We meet on Zoom and we talk about all girl issues, dreams, and people love that because we get to talk about our dreams. We have what we call the big ask, small ask. People get to share about what is their big ask, what are they looking for? Am I looking for a job? Or the small ask can be, oh, I want a puppy. And you'll be amazed the amount of people who are like, sure, girl, I can help you. So it's more like a networking community, but at the same time also helping other women say, hey, if you're going through something, I'm also going through it. Let's help each other. Let's support each other to come out of it. Or these are tips of how I've used this and it's working for me. So that's what Dream Nights are for. And then the next program we have is our summer program, which is the Dream Up Experience, which we're getting ready to launch. I'm excited about that. It's specifically for women 20 to 34. It's a 6-week summer program that they have to go through, they get a graduation, they get paired with a mentor. We tackle subjects that I kind of talked about earlier, like self-discovery. What is your dream? What are you passionate about? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How do you go from A to Z? How do you, start that business? And sometime last year, we had funding to give scholarships for women who wanted to start their own businesses. I'm excited because
That's so cool.
yeah. So hopefully this year we can have funding enough to also sponsor some businesses as well. So we create that path for women to say, hey, I want to work a 9-to-5 job. If you want to work a 9-to-5 job, what resources do you need to get there? Whether it's interviewing, having your resumes done, mock interviews, even connecting you with some prospective employers, if we can do that. And then if it's like starting your own business, how do you create your business plan? How do we help you out in the basics, in creating all the necessary steps you have? We have a young lady who met with us. She started a program, and 3 days later, I'm not kidding, we had a mentoring session on a Tuesday. By Thursday or Friday, she has sent me a text message saying with a picture of her name reservation and stuff that she had done to start her own business. So yeah, it's crazy when you get messages like that. You're like, oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have those program, and that's what our Dream Up experience. We call it a Dream Up experience because it's an experience. It definitely changes your whole life. It changes people's perspective. They're thinking, even what they know about themselves. You think, oh, I know this about myself, and then you're like, not really. I don't think so. And then, the final thing that we have is called the International Mentor Project, which is something we're launching for the first time this year. We are going to be having our age group, 20 to 34-year-olds, mentor high school girls in Africa. And we're starting with Nigeria. So
that's amazing.
About that one.
That's fantastic. So you're doing one-to-one mentoring and then helping people, and then you're assigning mentors to each young woman that comes in. So it's one-on-one attention each time that each person gets with it.
Not so if you're a members, that's a community, but for the summer program, yes, for the 6 weeks you get paired with a mentor, which is basically someone, an industry boss, a company CEO, a top executive, a community leader, someone who can speak live into you. And we're very selective of who is a mentor. So yes, you definitely get that one-on-one mentoring with the industry boss during the summer program. And yes, we do offer one-on-one mentoring section as well throughout the year for our members. So if you're a member, you can book a mentoring session at any point in time. We have specific mentor volunteers, and of course myself. I am a lot of times people select me or book me for a mentoring section, but we do have other volunteers who are there throughout the year. 24/7, but there are specific times and that they have available that anybody who is a member can book any of those sessions with them.
That's fantastic. And you did mention that you're very selective in terms of the people that you connect the young ladies with. Outside of that, so like the bosses or the business owners or people. So is there like an application process? Do you have to apply? Okay.
Yeah, so there is an application process for mentors. It's on our website, but it's not launched right now because we're getting ready to launch the Dream Up experience. We're getting ready to launch that. So in the coming, actually, by this weekend, once we're done with our anniversary celebrations, that page should be up. So anyone who's watching that is interested, just give us a few days and check back. It will be available. But yes, you apply. It's very simple. The application process is super, super easy. So don't get scared because I said we're only very selective. It's very easy. It's just asking about your availability, what you do, and your interest and your passion. The reason why we do an application process, we want to make sure we're paired the mentors with the right individuals. So, for example, if someone is interested in journalism, and let's say you work for Fox News, and we have someone who is like, oh, my dream job is to work in a radio station or in a big journalism companies, that would be a great fit. And of course, faith is also very important to our organization. We just don't want anybody speaking anything over the young ladies. So we are very careful about that to make sure that we're all on the same page. To want to encourage people to really to speak life into people, to be positive. So we just want people that understand that have that same passion as we do. That's why we have a selection process. But yeah, if you're interested, don't be afraid. Just go on and apply in a couple of days.
That's fantastic. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because about the application process and people wanting to mentor, because on the website you do have that up there. Opportunities to volunteer, opportunities to be a mentor to the young women, to have that connection. So your core values, you mentioned one of them is mentoring, community, education, and faith. And so one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, where do most of these young women come from? Like, how do the ladies find you? You know, you have women from Canada, Kenya, Nigeria, the UK. You know, where? I mean,
yeah.
Are you like he was sending them to you? Are they just dropping down? Like, where are these ladies coming from? How do you choose the women that come into the program?
Right. So obviously we're pretty new, and we are doing everything we can to advertise and move it up and say, hey, come join us wherever you are. So basically it's us sharing it on platforms like yours, like, hey, come share, come be a part of our program. It doesn't matter where you are, distance is not a problem. But we see a lot of people from the US as well. Really, I would just say is God. It's not like I have so much connections like that to say, hey, come. It's just basically telling everyone that has ears, like, hey, please share this program with yourself. Hey, is it okay if I share this with your group? And basically just sharing that. But we do have an intern that is over that they help with recruitment. So we do have people that are constantly working behind the scenes, and I want to give a big shout out to Madison. She's watching. She is our intern that is over membership and recruitment. So she does a lot of work behind the scene, connecting with young women on LinkedIn, on social media, like, hey, come check us out. We have interest meetings, and we say, hey, just come to our interest meeting, come ask your questions, see if you like us, basically. And then we also have a country lead. We have a country lead for Nigeria currently. She works on Nigeria part, basically. So she helps us with all the people in Nigeria, like, hey, and she does a pretty great job of always advertising in her groups and her network, like, hey, have you checked out Dream Mentorship? Come to Dream Mentorship events. So it's not just me. I don't want to take credit like, oh, I'm superwoman or anything like that. No, I just have I have a phenomenal team of women, of course, my board of directors as well, constantly sharing it and saying, hey, this is a great program, be a part of it. We're not where we want to be yet. We're working towards it. Our goal is to have 100 women this year. That's a lot, but we'll keep sharing it, and we are hoping that we can reach that goal to have 100 women this year, just this year alone, in our summer program and the International Mentor Project.
Well, I mean, 100 women is the big go big or go home, right? That's just what it is. I think that's a great thing. And I know the word, the dream has an acronym. It says, yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the acronym and where that came from? Like, what?
Oh my gosh, you really did your homework.
Gotta ask the question.
Yeah, so it's not just about like dream, like, oh yeah, people. So actually, backstory, when I used to sell Mary Kay, that was how I introduced myself. I used to say I'm this daring, redefined, extraordinary, assertive, memorable girl, Mac Jane Kraton. So that's how I introduce myself, right? So that was how the dream acronym came about. So it is, I wanted women to feel that. I want them to say that when you found your dream, when you found your purpose of what God wants you to be, I want you to realize that you are daring, that you are redefined, you're changed from the inside, and that what you are extraordinary. Like, whoa.
Yes.
And then you are
Yes.
assertive about it. Like, you're not making excuses. You are bold about it. You're assertive to say, hey, this is who I am. I'm authentic, and this is how God made me. And you are also memorable. You're leaving legacies wherever you go. Like, people can see you and say, oh, I remember Mac Jane. I remember Cherise. So that's how Dream came up. So I wanted people to go through our program and come at dream in quotes, they
Yes.
are, that's what they are. They are daring, redefined, extraordinary, assertive, memorable. So
Yes.
that's what the came up from.
I love that. I was like, I have to
Thank
ask
you.
you about that when I saw it, because that is so powerful. And now that you shared it, I am so glad that I asked you about it. Well, guys, if you're just joining us, thank you so much for joining. I am interviewing Mac Jane Kraton, our servant leader highlight for the week. So Mac Jane, this is the part of the show where I always want to ask people to share an iron sharpening thought. So because you're working with young adults or young people in that 18 to 34 age range, because that's considered young adults. You're also a mom, you're an entrepreneur, you're in a PhD program. Must I go on? You're doing a lot of things, man. Okay. So, give us an iron sharpening thought. What would you say to someone out there who may feel like their dreams aren't valid, that their dreams are trash, they have no dream. I don't know which is worse, someone who feels that their dreams aren't valid, or someone who isn't dreaming at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What would you say to someone like that? Just give us an iron sharpening thought.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's probably one of the things that I want to go around, how people say, what is your one thing in the world? That is my I dream statement, where everyone in the world, every woman in the world has a dream and they're living it. So it's not enough for you to have a dream. You have to live it life to the fullest. We say something in Dream Mentorship. If you can dream it, you got to live it. So my thoughts to them, or what I would say to them, is, okay, first of all, for that person who is like, oh, maybe my dream doesn't make any sense, nobody's gonna believe in it, or it's just trash. Actually, we just made a post about that earlier last week. Like, you are not trash. You have to believe that. You have to believe that you are not trash. Like, God did not make you and look at you and say, oh, look at Mac Jane, I'm just gonna give her a trashy dream. No, no, he did not do that.
Not at all.
So there's no dream that is trash. There's no dream that doesn't make any sense. It may not make sense to everybody, but it does make sense to certain people. And there's a purpose why God put it. It may not be for everybody. Your dream may not be to invent a medicine for COVID, or to create an airplane, or to create a light bulb, but your dream can be to build that house. Be the best at it. Like, when people are looking for somebody, be that memorable person that people will say, okay, if you're looking for this, you got to go find this person, because they are the very best at it. And then for that person who's like, okay, I have a dream, but it's even really valid. Do you know what I mean? Valid, something that has potency. It has the power to change lives. It has the power to change communities. It has the power to change nations. So if you have a dream in your heart, and that's the part that I get super passionate about, if you hear me feeling a little passion there, is just, I wish I can wake everybody up and say, go for it, because your dream can literally change lives, can literally change nations. Can you imagine you are the preventer of the vaccine for COVID? That is changing so many lives right now. I'm using that as an example because that's the thing that's most prevalent. But imagine you creating something that is helping people, that is making life easier for moms, making life easier for parents, making life easier for anybody in the world. You would absolutely love that. So yeah, whatever your dream is, go for it, because it's absolutely valid. Yep.
That was awesome. I love that.
And now we have
I Oh, hello, Olivia Joy, and this is Mac Jane's little girl. Everybody, say hello to her. So your dreams are valid, and they are, it's potent, and it will change the world. That's basically your iron sharpening thought. So this is the part of the show where I always get to tell my guests why they're here. So every Friday night we highlight someone on here. And the qualities of the servant leaders that we look for are people who are self-aware, they're active listeners, they're compassionate, they're visionary, they're intuitive, they're healers, they're people who look at the whole person. They're community builders, they're stewards, they're committed to the growth of others, and they're persuasive. Mac Jane, I would say that you're definitely a visionary and you're absolutely committed to the growth of other people. And for that reason, I wanted to have you on the show. I want to thank you so much and just honor you. And this is your moment to take a bow. Congratulations.
Thank you. This is so great. Like, you don't even know. Thank you for even thinking of me as visionary. That is super cool. I guess I get to write that down now. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. This is
Yes,
really
you are very welcome. And so we wanted to honor you here and honor the work that you're doing at Dream Mentorship. And if you are just joining us, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for joining. We're honoring Mac Jane Kraton tonight. She's our servant leader highlight. And we have Olivia Joy, her beautiful daughter, has just joined us. So we just wanted to say thank you, Mac Jane, for all the work you're doing with Dream Mentorship. And if you want to know more about Dream Mentorship, let me just put up the website on here for everyone to see. You can go to dreammentorship.org. And on dreammentorship.org, there is a ton of information. If you want to volunteer, you can apply to volunteer. If you would like to be, like earlier Mac Jane said, that if you wanted to apply to be one of the business owners or a person that would work with one of the mentees, you can just wait a second, but you could go back and apply to do that as well and reach out to Mac Jane. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to speak to you if you have more questions about the program. This is an organization that Mac Jane and her team, they're, helping young people between the ages of 18 to 34. I don't know. These organizations were not around when I was a young person. Well, there weren't a lot of Mac Janes when I was growing up, but we all had someone who helped us, mentored us, and spoke life to you. And maybe if you didn't, maybe you wish you did.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes that's what a lot of people need. You need someone to just walk with you on this journey because, like she said, your dreams are valid. And the truth is, the bigger the dream is, and the scarier it is most likely why you need to get it done.
Right.
And like, Mac Jane was saying, it's about potency. And the more valid the dream, the more potent it is, the bigger it is the more lives that you can change and the more people you can impact. So Mac Jane, we see you, we love you, we honor you, and we appreciate the work that you're doing with the young women, Canada, Kenya, Nigeria. 234 young ladies have been blessed by you so far. And I know because of you and who you are and your amazing team that you'll be able to, honor and touch more lives. And so for that, we wanted to honor you this week. And so thank you so much for being here. Do you have any final thoughts before we sign off for tonight?
Well, I just want to say thank you, Cherise, for having me. I am so thankful for our connection and to see all the great stuff that God is doing through you. And just as I sign out, I'm not gonna shoot my dream is valid conversation, but I just want to encourage everyone that has been listening. You don't have to be 18 to 34 to dream. You can be 60, you can be a grandmother, you can be a young woman, you can be younger than 17. Everyone has a dream. So whatever your dream is, whatever God has told you years and years ago, and you're thinking, oh gosh, I can't do it anymore. Now is the time to act. Don't look at yourself like, oh, it's too late or it's too early. There's none of that with God. God want to work with you right where you are. So I want to just encourage everybody and inspire people that are watching this that, hey, it's not too late to work on that dream, whatever it is. My mom used to say, if you want to be a pencil maker, be the best pencil maker ever. So whatever that is, you don't don't have to be a doctor or any of the, like people say, whatever it is, you want to be a painter, be the best painter ever. Just be the best of what God has called you to do and use all your gifts to the glory of God.
Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Mac Jane Kraton, we just want to say thank you, Mac Jane, for being here. Guys, this has been Friday Night Highlights and the Live in Today show. Join me again next Friday for the next dynamic and terrific servant leader highlight. I'm not going to tell you guys who that is. You'll just have to join me for next Friday night. All I'm going to say is about next Friday night is just, I don't know, put your shoes on, your socks on, whatever else you got to put on. All the ladies that I bring on here are always amazing. Actually, all the servant leader highlights that I bring on here are always amazing. So I just want to say thank you so much, Mac Jane, for being here. And guys, as I love to say, as irons sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Have a blessed and amazing weekend. And listen, if you know a great and amazing servant leader out there who fits the criteria that I'm looking for, send them my way. Okay? Have a blessed weekend, everybody. Good night.